the quiet suburb of Yukon, Oklahoma, the Candy family was known for their warmth and community spirit. Neighbors often saw Jonathan and Lindsay Candy attending local events with their 4 children, Dylan, Ethan, Lucas, and their youngest son. Their home, nestled on a peaceful street, seemed like a haven of familial bliss. But on the morning of April 22, 2024, this facade was shattered. A chilling 911 call from the 10-year-old son revealed a scene of unimaginable horror. His parents and 3 brothers were dead, victims of a murder-suicide orchestrated by the family's patriarch, Jonathan Candy. What could drive the devoted father and husband to commit such a heinous act? Join us as we delve into the perplexing and tragic story of the Candy family, seeking to uncover the layers behind this devastating event. Jonathan Candy was a 42-year-old father of 4, known in his neighborhood for his reserved yet dependable demeanor. A longtime resident of Yukon, Oklahoma, Jonathan worked diligently in a managerial position at a logistics company, providing for his family with a steady and stable income. Friends described him as a man of routine, always ensuring his children were cared for and his household responsibilities fulfilled. But beneath his quiet exterior lay an enigma that few could decipher. Lindsay Candy, 39, was the heart of the family. A loving mother and active member of the community, Lindsay was known for her warm smile and unwavering dedication to her children. Whether it was attending school events or volunteering at local fundraisers, she was a familiar and cherished figure in Yukon. Those who knew her would often say that Lindsay had a unique way of making everyone feel seen and valued, a trait that added to the tragedy of what was to come. Their eldest son, Dylan, at just 18, was preparing to graduate high school. Dylan was a dreamer, often seen sketching in his notebook or practicing guitar in his room. He had aspirations of pursuing a career in art, and his teachers frequently praised his talent and work ethic. To his siblings, Dylan was the cool older brother, always ready to lend a hand or offer advice. Ethan, 14, was the family's athlete. A star on his school's basketball team, Ethan had a competitive streak, but was known for his sportsmanship and leadership on and off the court. His coaches often remarked on his ability to inspire and unify his teammates. At home, he was the energetic middle child who brought humor and life to every family gathering. Lucas, the youngest of the 3 boys at 12, had a curious and adventurous spirit, always asking questions and exploring his surroundings. Lucas was known for his boundless energy and infectious enthusiasm. He was a favorite among his teachers and peers, often referred to as the kid with the big ideas. And then there was the 10-year-old, the sole survivor of this harrowing tragedy. The youngest member of the Candy family, he was known for his quiet but observant nature. While his older siblings were often the focus of attention with their hobbies and accomplishments, he found joy in simpler things, reading comic books, drawing with Dylan, or playing board games with his mom. Together, the Candy family appeared to be the picture of harmony. Their home was filled with laughter, shared meals, and the usual challenges and triumphs of family life. To their neighbors and friends, the Candys seemed like a model family, one that others admired and aspired to emulate. But the events of April 22, 2024 would forever shatter that idyllic image, leaving only questions and heartbreak in their wake. Nestled in the heart of Yukon, Oklahoma, the Candy family was the embodiment of small-town American ideals. Their home was a charming house on a tree-lined street, where the sound of children playing often echoed in the neighborhood. To their community, the Candys were not just another family. They were the kind of people you'd want living next door. Jonathan Candy, 42, was a hard-working man with a steady job that provided for his family. Though not outwardly expressive, he was seen as dependable, a figure of stability in the home. Lindsay Candy, 39, was the glue that held the family together. Known for her warm smile and active role in her children's lives, Lindsay was deeply involved in local school activities and community events. She often volunteered at her son's schools, organizing fundraisers and helping out wherever she could. Their eldest son, Dylan, 18, was on the cusp of adulthood. A senior in high school, Dylan had big dreams of attending college. He was described by friends as quiet but kind-hearted, someone who always made time to help others. His younger brother, Ethan, 14, was the family's athlete, excelling in basketball and making a name for himself in local sports. Lucas, 12, was the jokester of the family, always quick with a laugh and a prank, while the youngest, just 10 years old, was the apple of his parents' eyes, a bright and curious child who idolized his older siblings. The Candys were well liked by their neighbors. They attended church regularly, often hosting barbecues and gatherings that brought the community together. Lindsay had a knack for decorating, and during holidays, their home was always the most festive on the block. Whether it was Christmas lights or Halloween decorations, the Candy house stood out, a testament to the family's cheerful spirit. To the outside world, their life appeared perfect, a picturesque family living the American dream. Friends and neighbors spoke of their laughter-filled gatherings, the children's accomplishments, and Lindsay's unyielding support for her family. It was a portrait of normalcy, of love, and togetherness. But beneath the surface of their seemingly idyllic existence lay a story no one could have predicted. The tragedy that would unfold in their home would leave the community reeling, struggling to understand how a family so full of life and promise could be torn apart in an instant. In the early hours of April 22, 2024, the Candy family's residence in Yukon, Oklahoma became the scene of a tragic and unfathomable event. According to police reports, an altercation erupted between 42-year-old Jonathan Candy and his wife, 39-year-old Lindsay Candy. During this confrontation, Jonathan retrieved a firearm and fatally shot Lindsay multiple times. Following this, Jonathan moved through the house, systematically targeting their children. He first shot their eldest son, 18-year-old Dylan, followed by 14-year-old Ethan, and then 12-year-old Lucas. The children were found in different areas of the home, with at least one child shot while in bed, indicating they were attacked as they slept. The couple's youngest child, a 10-year-old son, remained unharmed. He awoke later that morning to the devastating scene and called 911 at approximately 9:35 a.m., reporting that everyone in the house appeared to be dead. Upon completing these acts, Jonathan turned the gun on himself, ending his own life. Authorities arrived to find the 5 deceased family members, with the surviving child left to grapple with the unimaginable aftermath of his family's destruction. The morning began like any other in the quiet suburban neighborhood of Yukon, Oklahoma, but for one child, it would become a nightmare he could never forget. Amid the chilling silence of his family's home, a 10-year-old boy stumbled upon a scene that no child should ever have to witness. His father, mother, and 3 brothers, his entire world, were gone. In the chaos of grief and terror, he found the courage to pick up the phone and dial 911. Through the trembling voice of a young survivor, the dispatcher heard words that would haunt them. "My family, they're all dead." The boy's sobs filled the line as he tried to explain what he had seen. In those harrowing moments, his call for help became the first step in unraveling a horrifying reality. Police arrived to find the boy waiting outside, visibly shaken but alive. He had escaped what appeared to be an unspeakable act of violence orchestrated by his own father, Jonathan Candy. The officers quickly secured the scene, but the questions were only beginning. How could something so devastating occur in a home filled with love and laughter just hours before? The boy's survival would become a cornerstone of this tragic story, his voice carrying the weight of a family's collapse and the mystery of a father's unimaginable actions. Upon receiving the distressing 911 call from the 10-year-old survivor, Oklahoma City police swiftly arrived at the Candy family residence. The scene that greeted them was one of profound tragedy. In the master bedroom, they discovered 39-year-old Lindsay Candy, lifeless from multiple gunshot wounds. Nearby, in their respective bedrooms, were the bodies of the 3 children, 18-year-old Dylan, 14-year-old Ethan, and 12-year-old Lucas, each fatally shot. The perpetrator, 42-year-old Jonathan Candy, was found deceased in the living room, having died by suicide. The only survivor, the 10-year-old son, had been asleep in his room during the horrific events, shielded from the sounds by a closed door and a running box fan. The investigation revealed no prior history of domestic disturbances at the residence, leaving the community in shock and searching for answers. In the wake of the tragedy, investigators were left grappling with one confounding question: why? Unlike many cases of domestic violence that escalate into such acts, there had been no prior indicators of turmoil within the Candy family. There were no calls to law enforcement reporting disturbances at their home, no public evidence of friction within their seemingly close-knit household. Neighbors described the Candys as approachable and engaged with their community. Jonathan was seen as a devoted father, often at his children's school events or coaching youth sports. Lindsay was remembered as a compassionate and active member of the neighborhood, volunteering for local initiatives and always willing to lend a hand. Their children, too, were well-liked among peers. Known for their politeness and cheerful demeanor, this lack of warning signs deepened the shock, reverberating through Yukon, Oklahoma. The idea that such a tragedy could unfold in a family that appeared so harmonious left friends and neighbors reeling. How could a family that outwardly seemed so connected harbored the potential for such devastation? The unanswered questions haunted even the closest friends of the Candys. Some wondered if there were subtle signs they missed, hidden struggles behind closed doors that went unnoticed. But for the police and the community, the absence of a trail leading to this calamity only made the search for answers more urgent and the reality more chilling. In the wake of the Candy family tragedy, neighbors and relatives expressed profound shock and disbelief. Michael Burcham, a neighbor and friend, described Jonathan as a family man who always seemed to get along with his children. He recalled the kids as friendly, often swimming at his house and playing with his dog. Burcham mentioned that Jonathan had been at a playoff game just hours before the incident, making the events even more incomprehensible. The Candy family's extended relatives were equally stunned. A cousin stated, "Our entire family has been left shattered and confused, with so many questions we won't ever have answers to." They described Jonathan as someone whose jokes and goofy attitude kept everyone smiling, emphasizing that his children and wife were his entire life. The community at large struggled to reconcile the horrific events with the family they thought they knew, highlighting the unpredictable nature of such tragedies. The days following the Candy family massacre were filled with shock and questions. Friends, neighbors, and even extended family members found themselves grappling with an agonizing truth. No one saw this coming. There were no recorded incidents of domestic violence, no cries for help, no visible red flags that could have hinted at the events of that fateful day. To those who knew them, the Candy family was the epitome of stability and love. Authorities, too, were baffled. As investigators combed through the family's home, their financial records, and personal correspondence, they found no immediate signs of distress. Jonathan's professional life appeared secure. Lindsay was an active and supportive mother, and the children were described as well-adjusted and thriving in school. Police Chief Mike Brandon remarked, "This is one of the most confounding cases I've encountered. There's simply no clear explanation. The absence of a suicide note only deepened the mystery. Without Jonathan's own words to explain his actions, theories began to swirl. Some wondered if mental health struggles could have played a role, issues that perhaps went unnoticed or unspoken in the Candy household. Others speculated about hidden pressures, the kind that can weigh heavily on a person while remaining invisible to those around them. Investigators continued to dig, interviewing anyone who might shed light on Jonathan's state of mind. Friends described him as quiet but kind. Coworkers recalled no unusual behavior in the weeks leading up to the tragedy. The lack of clear answers left not only the Candy family's survivors, but an entire community haunted by one persistent question: why? Even now, the unknown motive behind the massacre keeps this case shrouded in an eerie silence, as though the truth itself is locked away in the memories of a man who left no trace of his reasoning. The tragedy of the Candy family left not just the community, but investigators grappling with one haunting question: why? With no history of domestic violence and no documented calls to law enforcement from their home, the motive behind Jonathan Candy's actions remains elusive. Yet, as the story gained national attention, several theories and speculations emerged. One of the most commonly proposed theories centers on financial difficulties. While outwardly the Candy family appeared stable, neighbors reported that Jonathan had recently expressed concerns about mounting expenses. Friends noted he worked long hours to support his family, and it's possible the weight of providing for 4 children placed an unbearable strain on him. However, no concrete financial records or evidence of bankruptcy have been released to substantiate this claim. Some have wondered if an undisclosed family conflict could have played a role. A close relative mentioned that Jonathan and Lindsay had recently canceled plans for a family gathering, though no reasons were given. Was there a heated argument or underlying tension that escalated beyond control? Investigators found no evidence of a struggle or any prior history of disputes, leaving this theory with more questions than answers. In cases like this, the public often speculates about hidden aspects of the family's life. Social media comments, for instance, have floated ideas about secret financial dealings, extramarital affairs, or hidden health issues. Yet, law enforcement has not corroborated any such claims, urging the public to avoid assumptions without evidence. While the family's life appeared idyllic, the notion that untold secrets could have played a role fuels much of the online discourse. Perhaps most chilling is the idea that there was no premeditation, no slow descent into this tragedy. Some experts suggest that acts like these can be impulsive, triggered by a single overwhelming moment of despair. This theory, however, struggles to explain the systematic nature of Jonathan's actions, which included targeting specific family members and leaving one child unharmed. The surviving 10-year-old son who alerted authorities to the tragedy remains a key figure in piecing together what happened. Though law enforcement has kept his account private to protect his identity, his testimony could shed light on the hours leading up to the incident. Was there a conversation, an argument, or anything that could explain his father's state of mind? For now, this remains one of the story's greatest unknowns. In the absence of a definitive answer, these speculations, while compelling, underscore the enigma surrounding the Candy family tragedy. Each theory raises its own set of questions, but none provide closure for a grieving community left with an unfillable void. The surviving child, just 10 years old, faced an unimaginable reality. He was now the sole living member of the Candy household, left to bear the weight of a tragedy too vast for anyone to comprehend. After his harrowing 911 call brought authorities to the scene, he was whisked away to safety. Officials, understanding the gravity of his loss, immediately sought to ensure his protection and well-being. He was placed in the care of extended family members, relatives who had no warning that they would now take on the role of guardians to a deeply traumatized boy. Despite their best efforts to provide him with a sense of normalcy, the echoes of that morning would inevitably shape his future. In the days and weeks that followed, the community rallied around the child, offering support and resources. Fundraisers were held and counseling services were provided, but the question remained: how could such a young mind begin to process the depth of what he had endured? The image of the 10-year-old survivor became a symbol of both the fragility and resilience of the human spirit in the wake of unspeakable tragedy. In the wake of the devastating tragedy that unfolded within the Candy family home, the community of Yukon, Oklahoma, found itself grappling with a profound sense of loss and disbelief. The tightly knit neighborhood, known for its friendly gatherings and unspoken bonds, quickly mobilized to offer support to the surviving son and extended family members. Neighbors, some of whom had known the Candy family for years, described them as approachable and kind-hearted. These sentiments drove an overwhelming outpouring of sympathy and solidarity. Candles were lit on front porches, flowers were laid at the edge of the family's driveway, and handwritten notes of encouragement were placed on the home's mailbox. A vigil held at the local church brought together hundreds of residents, each holding flickering candles as they prayed for healing and strength for the young survivor. A GoFundMe campaign, started by a family friend, quickly surpassed its goal, raising funds to ensure the surviving child could access education, therapy, and a stable future. Community members from across the state contributed, leaving heartfelt messages of support alongside their donations. One message, from a fellow parent, read, "This could have been any of us. We stand with you and will continue to lift you up in our prayers." The tragedy also prompted discussions about recognizing and responding to signs of mental distress. Churches, schools, and civic groups organized workshops and seminars, aiming to educate residents on identifying warning signs, and providing assistance to those in need. In the midst of heartbreak, this communal effort to raise awareness served as a silver lining, a step towards fostering a more vigilant and compassionate community. For the young survivor, the road ahead was uncertain, but he was not alone. Local families offered to host him for holidays, ensuring he would not feel isolated during times typically filled with love and laughter. Counselors and volunteers worked tirelessly to create a sense of normalcy, surrounding him with care and understanding. In tragedy, the strength of the Yukon community became a beacon of hope. They transformed their grief into action, determined to honor the memories of the Candy family while providing unwavering support to their youngest member. Together, they demonstrated the resilience of a town united by compassion, proving that even in the darkest moments, humanity's light can shine through. The tragedy of the Candy family massacre leaves us grappling with profound questions about the fragility of human lives and relationships. On the surface, they were a family like any other, engaged with their community, loved by neighbors, and seen as an emblem of unity. Yet, beneath that surface, something remained hidden, something that erupted in a way no one could have anticipated. This case serves as a sobering reminder of how little we sometimes know about the struggles of those closest to us. It underscores the importance of looking beyond appearances and maintaining open, honest communication within families and communities. Often, signs of distress can be subtle, easily overlooked until it's too late. As we reflect on this devastating event, we must also ask ourselves how we can collectively work toward preventing such tragedies in the future. Awareness, compassion, and support networks are vital tools that can make all the difference. If you or someone you know is struggling, resources are available. Never hesitate to reach out. The Candy family's story, though heartbreakingly unique, is also a call to action, to be vigilant, to be kind, and to remember that even in the quietest corners of our lives, storms can sometimes brew. By standing together as a community, we can ensure that those in pain find the help they need before it is too late. Now that you've heard this tragic and complex story, we want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on this devastating case? Could anything have prevented such a heartbreaking outcome? Share your insights in the comments below. We read every one. And if you're drawn to true crime stories that uncover the human side of these mysteries, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We have more gripping tales coming your way, and we don't want you to miss a single one. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next story.